Welcome to the Pharos Fit podcast, where we help you to explore your capacity to move better, push further, and achieve your limitless potential through fitness, nutrition, recovery, and lifestyle. Hey guys, welcome back to the Pharos Fit podcast. We are in part three of our saga. It's like The Godfather, part three.
Saga of Piete.
The saga of myself. We've been talking a little bit about like just how I got into this the situation that I'm in right now. That sounds like a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good situation right now, despite everything that's happened in the last year. And we're doing it just because there are some things that have happened over the course of the last few years and my time in my fitness life that have maybe of interest to some people. Some people might not care at all, but there are moments that have been interesting and maybe helpful for other people. So it's also interesting for me just to recap at this point, because as I said in the first podcast, we are about to embark on something new, and when you embark on something new, it's a good time to take stock and just partly realize how far you've come and kind of take a moment to be grateful and to express that gratitude and to just acknowledge everything that's happened. And it just helps me kind of understand my story and my journey more. And, like I said, everything that's happening now is kind of a culmination of everything that's happened in the past, really since I began this kind of fitness career in my mid-20s. So I'm going to start today, I guess, really around 2015, 2016. In the last podcast, we talked about the movie stuff finishing, and where that kind of left me. And when you do finish stuff in the movies, it is kind of like a weird sensation, because you spent a lot of time with a specific group of people, and you've built up relationships, and you've been in an artificial environment that can't last. It's only exists for a certain amount of time. You get really close with people, and then you say goodbye at the end of it. And maybe you work with those people again, and maybe you don't, but you're not really sure. So for me, it was really a okay, what do I do now kind of moment. And as I mentioned before in the podcast, I'd been traveling a lot with Warner Brothers and with the movie stuff, and I'd been fortunate enough to come to LA. And I'd met Jeff Scarborough, who became a good friend of mine and eventually became my business partner. And I met him at another gym, a CrossFit gym called CrossFit Mindset. And when I first came to LA, I'll be honest, I didn't get it. I didn't get what the attraction was. It kind of dumbfounded by it. I was like, this place just seems like alienating and weird, and everyone drives everywhere and nobody walks anywhere, and I can't get any kind of like central base. And just like I came from somewhere where you could walk around and walk to the shops and walk to get coffee and all that kind of stuff. And it just felt weird to me. But once I got to Los Feliz, and I found that gym, and I found some people, and you can walk around Los Feliz, and I was like, okay, now I kind of get it. And as with many people, I found community in fitness. God bless that gym. God bless CrossFit Mindset, because they introduced me to a bunch of great people who became my lifetime friends, and in Emily's case, my wife, and my business partners. And it really started my journey in America into owning my own business here, and running that business, and gradually building to what it is right now. So in 2016, Wonder Woman ended. I was not working for a while. I went back to the UK. I was living in my brother's house, asking myself a lot of questions. What do I really want to do? How do I deal with, how do I kind of take the next step? Like, the movie stuff had been great for what it was, but it kind of left me feeling a little bit kind of out of things. I didn't want to go back and work in a commercial gym anymore. I didn't want to just be a personal trainer anymore.
But you're back on the Isle of Wight now,
back on the Isle of Wight.
It's a massive transition.
With my family, massive transition. Yeah, I'd been kind of like a traveling trainer, like working with some of the biggest people, in Hollywood. and having all these amazing experiences and, you know, earning great money and having this incredible adventure. And now I kind of found myself back home, living in my brother's house, without a job, and just thinking, what next? And I decided to come back to the States. As I said, I'd met Jeff before. He'd introduced me to some other people. The cogs were kind of turning. I came back briefly. I think it was in the September of 2016, and I'd met with a couple of other people. I met with Andy Horitz and a friend of mine, Eddie Rayburn. We loosely, we talked about opening a gym. That didn't work out, but I'd met Jeff at that point, and he'd introduced me to Emily Cavell. And me and Emily, immediately kind of like hit it off, struck a chord. We had similar ambitions, similar dreams, and there was definitely an attraction there. And we had basically one date, and I flew back to the UK. And I'd been out. I can't remember the date I flew out to the States, but I'd been there a while, and I think actually I flew back in the September. Emily knows the exact date; she's a lot better with dates than me. But I came back in the September, and at this point we were kind of like loosely making plans, and I was going to come back, and we were gonna build a gym. We were going to do something, and we weren't sure exactly what it was. We were toying around with like, a small studio. It was going to be like, just classes, and it was going to be, I hate to say the word hit studio because there are a lot of terrible ones, but it was going to be a class-based studio kind of thing. And anyway, I came back out. I went back home in September. I stayed back on the island for a while, and we were back and forth, like making plans, etc. And I think me and Emily spoke most days, and we knew that there was something more than kind of friendship there, and also, from a business standpoint, something interesting, because like I said before, I think it's hard to see a future with someone sometimes if you can't see where you're headed in a career situation. Because for me, I'd always found it hard to see a future with someone if I couldn't see a vision of the future, or a plan, or a path that made sense to me. And with Emily, we both saw a path. We both saw a future. We saw something special, and yeah, there was definitely something there that was more than just friendship. So we communicated every day, and I remember she went to do a retreat, a yoga retreat in Italy. And like I said, we've been speaking most days, and I've been speaking a lot with Jeff as well. And she said she was flying back to the States via Heathrow in London. And I was like, oh, okay. So I secretly booked a flight back to the States that coincided with her flight back to the States from Italy. So she would arrive in Heathrow, I would arrive at Heathrow at the same time, and we'd get the same flight back to America.
Sneaky move.
So, sneaky move, right?
Yeah, bravo.
So our second date ever was a 12-hour flight from London back to Los Angeles. So it could have gone either way. It could have been an absolute disaster, or it could have been great. And luckily it turned out to be great. We immediately, hit it off again, and talked and had a great flight, and it was one of those things that just works out for the best. And like I said, it was a hell of a gamble, just like it was just going to LA in the first place. But it worked out great, and I actually stayed with Emily for a while when I got back to Los Angeles, just to kind of like get settled, whatever.
How'd you come up with a move like that? Where'd you get that idea to get on the airplane date? It's a good day. It's a good move.
It's probably some film somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't remember where, but
some Tom Hanks film. Some
Tom Hanks film, yeah, or Matthew McConaughey in his early days. But yeah, it's just, I mean, I talked a lot about this before. Like sometimes you have to just take chances and make decisions and just go for it. Like I think I talked about before when I got on the plane to Los Angeles the first time after the film stuff, I was like, I'm not coming back to the UK until I make something with myself. And when I got on the plane with Emily, it was like, this is something that's worth pursuing. So I'm going to take this chance. And it was a chance that worked out. So I moved to America with the full intent not to return to the UK. This was going to be it. So we flew back together. I eventually moved in with my friend John Kim, who a lot of you guys know as the angry therapist. And me and John lived together for a good while, and we had a great time in his house in Los Feliz. And me, Jeff, and Emily continued to work on what was to become the Pharos project, although we didn't know it as that at the time. We were just looking for gym spaces, etc. And it took a long time to kind of like find a space and kind of hone it down to what we wanted, work on different business plans. Me and Jeff were very much like, let's just keep it small. Let's like do something like sensible, start out small and build. Emily was like, no, I'm not doing this unless it's a 10,000 square foot at least facility and all this kind of thing. And me and Jeff were like, oh my God, anxiety kicked in. And we're like, oh my God, this is going to be monstrous. Anyway, eventually, I think it was the day after Thanksgiving in 2016, Jeff found the spot at 1316 Glendale Blvd. He went for pizza at what's it called?
And what place? Which one are you
The
talking
pizza
about?
place opposite Pharos.
Across the street on Glendale?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, but there's a pizza place there for sure in that plaza.
God, what's gonna happen? I'll think of it in a second. Anyway, I think he was hungover. He went to get pizza, and as destiny would have it, opposite the pizza place was this building that hadn't been occupied in a long time. It looked derelict. And he's like, I think I might have found a good spot. So we were like, well, let's go and have a look at it. And I remember we all walked in, and it was one of those kind of like aha moments of like, fuck, I think this is it. And it was exactly what Emily wanted. It was way bigger than what me and Jeff had in mind. But it was, it was the size, it was the space, it had a lot of potential. And we pretty much knew from that moment that was the right spot. And that all happened, like I said, in the months following Thanksgiving 2016. And at the same time, we found the space. We started working on, the name which was to become Pharos. We started working on business models. In the same time, me and Emily were working on our relationship and so forth. But of course, as is with many people who come to America, your time here is finite unless you have a work visa or a green card or something like that. So we got to the point where, it really was. Me and Emily just kind of looked at each other like, what do we do here? Like, I personally, my work visa had run out. I'd had the same kind of work visa that I had from the film stuff. That was coming to an end, and we weren't really sure what we wanted to do. And so me and Emily just sat down and said, well, do we just get married? Which I know sounds absolutely crazy since we'd only really met in September 2016 or just before that, and I'd left in 2016, but in September. But we hadn't known each other for very long. It seemed crazy. My family thought I was insane. Her family were great about it, but I'm pretty sure they must have thought I was insane and that she was insane for doing it. But they didn't act that way, certainly. And we did it. We got married December 16th, 2016. Very simple wedding, just close friends. Her family came down. We had our ceremony at just a local chapel, and we had our kind of after party reception at a barbecue joint called Baby Blues.
Really?
Yeah.
I
And it
know
was,
that place across the street.
yeah. Well, it was the other one. It was the one in Hollywood before that one existed. And it was chicken wings, it was barbecue, and it was PBR. But it was great, it was fantastic. We had an amazing time. And from the moment we decided to do it, it was never in our minds that we were making a mistake. It was like, this is the right thing. We're on this path, and we're going to make this happen. And thank God we did. Thank God again, we took the gamble, we took the chance. Again, it was just one of those things. It's like sometimes you just know, and you just do these things. And it was the right decision. It was a great decision. We've loved each other, for four years now. And we got Wyatt, who's the best. And it's just been a complete blessing. And crazy, but amazing. So we got married, and then once we got married, it's like, oh well, I guess now we better open this fucking gym. So we got to work, and God, I cannot tell you how hard it was to open a business / open a gym in Los Angeles. So much red tape, so many inspections, so much bullshit to go through. The building was great, but it was an old building, and it had a lot of problems with it. And it took a lot of construction, a lot of time, and a lot of money, way more than we thought it was ever going to cost. I know everybody says that when they're opening a business, it'll cost you way more than you think. But well and truly, it took us way further than we ever thought was imaginable. So during that phase, during the build out, we did a lot of park pop-ups. We started training people in parks. We would take equipment to the park. We would take ski ergs and weights and dumbbells and all these things.
I think I saw some photos like Echo Park, right?
Echo Park Lake. People would come. It was great. Of course, we weren't making any money. We were just doing it all to try and like grow the business and try and get the word out. Tell everybody, we've got this great gym coming. Here's what it's going to be about. We had a little bit of a following already from the gyms we've been working in previously. And eventually we acquired a shed, the famous shed, which was the shed that belonged to the property that the gym was in. And it was just a storage shed. But we turned the storage shed into a gym. And I remember, we would train in that gym in 100-degree heat. And it was, it was a dirty old, wooden shack that, again, we filled with great equipment. And we did these crazy workouts. We did weightlifting. We did crazy Metcons, all kinds of Bulgarian bag work.
Bulgarian bag work. Tell me more about that. That sounds like something.
Those Bulgarian bags? They're kind of like sausage bags that you throw around. You can spin.
They have a handle, and you get flip them to get some snatches in.
You do snatches, and you clean jerks. You can do windmills.
Okay, I know.
All kinds of cool stuff.
I know they were called Bulgarian bags. It's a great name.
Yeah. So we did a ton of that kind of work, and it was great. Everybody that was involved in the shed will tell you how great those workouts were. How amazing, it was to experience. Like, we didn't have anything of any kind of luxury, but people just fucking came, experienced it. And the people that were members of the shed are still members today. They were our founder members. They stayed with us. They helped us. And yeah, it was a great time. As stressful as it was, we were under a lot of pressure, a lot of financial strain. Obviously, it was taking way longer than we ever thought. We were paying rent on a building that we couldn't use. Construction costs were growing every day. We couldn't pay ourselves, obviously. We were in mounds of debt. But, we always said, one day we'll look back on this and laugh. We're not quite at that point yet. But I maintain that we will one day look back on those days and laugh. So eventually, a good amount of time went by. But eventually we opened the gym November 16th, 2017 was our official opening date. And we done little workouts in there, just to give people a taste. And then we finally opened. We finally had our launch party. And, Pharos opened on that date. Now, bear in mind, if you know the gym right now, in the first instance, we only had the one side. So we had the original side, which is where we do the compete and where we do the build. Right now, where the ride studio is, we had that, and where the reception is, we had that. We didn't have the other buildings at that point. It was just that one side, because we thought this building is so big. Oh my god, I'm never gonna fill it. Like, this is huge. It's more space than we're ever gonna need. So we opened with just that side, and we had the members that we'd built up over time, doing the workouts in the shed, doing the workouts in the parks, and those people helped us, build the gym, like put their own sweat equity into it, and we opened the gym, and it was a hit from the start. People were coming. It was busy. Me, Jeff, Emily, and Kate, our other business partner, who was our original investor. We all had been through a lot of stress by this point. Been through a lot together. Jeff at one point went blind in one eye because he was so stressed. He got bitten by a dog, which was stressful. He nearly killed me with a ladder at one point, which was stressful. We'd been through a lot already just to get the doors open. We'd been through them a little bit. We'd had a lot of disappointments. We'd been through 3 contractors by that point. Everyone was terrible. Nothing worked. But we eventually got the doors open. People came, and we knew we were onto something special. So over the course of time, as the gym gets busier and busier, we're like, Jesus, this space just isn't big enough, which was crazy because in the beginning we thought this place is huge. It's more than we ever need. And I remember, I'd always boxed, like I said before in the previous podcast, in my 20s, my 30s, I'd done a lot of boxing, and I always loved boxing. And I decided to host a couple of boxing classes in the gym space. And in the old gym space, we had I don't know if you remember, Brandon, we had the turf on one side, and we had those rigs on the left-hand side, and I just hung bags up on the rigs, and I did some boxing classes, and it was super popular. So then it was I remember Kate saying to me, well, really, we could do it at the boxing gym. And it was oh my God, how do we do this? So we knew the space next door was available. It had been sitting there for a while. The space upstairs next door.
It wasn't filled at all once you guys were in there, right? Was there anybody ever in there?
No, well, no. It was originally an office space. And beneath it was the dog training space, the blue collar working dog training space. And above it was just empty offices. But we knew it would have been empty for a while. Our landlord, who owned the entire building, offered us a good deal on the lease. So again, it was one of those moments where oh my God, do we just go for it? So it's fuck it, let's just go for it. Even though, of course, by this point we're already in a lot of debt. We still have a lot to pay back, but it was kind of the voice in your head is you have to spend money to make money, and if we're serious about this, if we really want to build something special, we're going to have to expand, blah 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 blah. So we again took the gamble, and we acquired the space upstairs next door. Once again, it took a lot more money than we thought it was going to take. We had to redo a lot of the floors. We had to completely gut it out. There was a lot of weird spaces in there. We had to put in a couple of extra skylights. We had to put in AC. We put in this beautiful copper wall in the repair room. So again, it cost a lot of money, but it allowed us to, really develop this hybrid model that we now have. It enabled us to put on different classes that do different things at the same time. So we could run a build, a fight, and a train all at the same time if we wanted to. So we would have build upstairs, we would have train, which is our high intensity training program, and we could have repair, yoga and flow all going on at the same time whilst having build or compete downstairs. So it allowed us to become this great hybrid facility that people know Pharos as now. So we did it, and again, it was great. It was successful. We started increasing our membership. Before we'd had to really divide the day up between build and train and build and train and build and train and repair and kind of fit things in. And now we had this much broader spectrum, this much broader program, and people could really divide their day. I mean, a lot of people would come twice a day. Some people even 3 times a day because they just wanted to do different classes.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, we also still had open gym downstairs in a portion of the downstairs facility, which was a basic open gym, but we did have some great equipment. We had a big cable machine. We had a squat, a leg press. We had squat stations, hamstring curls, leg extensions, that kind of stuff. But everything, fitted in this new kind of like 2 buildings essentially. They were connected via two separate doors, so you'd have to go in one building for one kind of class type, and one building for another. So this goes on for a good while. Then at the end of 2019, or I guess mid 2019, we had the crazy idea. Well, we were almost forced into it, because we had the boxing gym upstairs, we had the train gym upstairs, and beneath us was the dog training facility. Blue collar working dog, who are our neighbors, great people. They kind of said to us, the dogs are freaking out, the noise is too much, you're going to have to like quieten down. And we were like, oh my God, there's just no way that we can do that. Like we're trying to run the gym, we have music, everything's playing, the boxing, it makes noise. And we weren't really sure like what to do. And anyway, it kind of coincided with them thinking, you know what, we'd rather just give up this space. I don't think it was working out too well for them. So basically the landlord came to us and said, look, you're going to have to take over this space because you've basically made it impossible for them to run a business anymore. So, it was kind of our fault. But I think it kind of like worked out for the best for them, because I don't think, like I said, that it was making too much sense for them to keep it. So again, we found ourselves in the position of like, do we take the gamble? I'd wanted to do like a more of an open gym facility anyway. I wanted to get more equipment, more bodybuilding type stuff, because I knew that there was going to be more of a market for this hybrid facility that could offer both bodybuilding and CrossFit type workouts and boxing and high intensity training. There's a whole another market we can tap into. I'd come from that background at Gym Box. I'd seen it work, and I thought we could do something beautiful in there. And we did exactly that. The space, which is now known as the Base, is a beautiful open gym. The company that helped us, Bo Laughlin, who's a member of ours, his company helped us build it out. He did a great job. But again, it was a lot of money. It went way over budget. And yeah, it was another gamble that, ultimately paid off, but cost a lot of money to make. So again, the moral of the story here is like every time you grow your business, it will cost you a lot more money than you think it's going to. But if you believe in something enough, and you have a vision in your head and you have a dream in your head, you just take the gamble and you just do these things. You don't have the money. You just leverage yourself, and that's basically what you do. I always kind of joke to people, America is built on people just getting themselves into debt. It just seems like success is just really how much debt they'll allow you to get into.
As well as the risk taking as well. It's like if you risk, the more you risk, the higher that reward is, but also how low that demise could be.
Right.
So
I had a good amount of savings from the film stuff. I sank every penny I had into Pharos. Our investor, Kate, put in way more money than she ever had to. Jeff put in way more money. Emily, we all put everything we had into it because we believed in it, and at a certain point, you're like, if this doesn't work, well, for me especially, because I'm a little bit older than Jeff and a little bit older than Emily, I'm like, if this doesn't work, I do not know what the fuck I'm going to do with my life. So this has to fucking work. At this point, this has to work, because this is it for me. So I was willing to do whatever it took to make it happen, and to tame the beast that it was. And it took longer than we thought, and we opened it at the end of 2019, and it was a hit right off the bat. And going into 2020, things were looking really good. We were finally making profit. We were finally paying our debts back. It was like, yes, everything we did was worth it. All the struggles were worth it. We made it happen. We can be proud of ourselves. We're providing a good service. We are delivering a good service to our members. Our members are happy. We're looking good. And then, of course, the motherfucking pandemic. So we initially closed down March 15th. I remember people talking about COVID in January, and it almost being like a joke of like, oh, there's this thing in China. Have you heard about it?
I was in China and India in December of that 2019 going to 2020.
And I didn't like...
I didn't even see anything there.
I didn't take it seriously. I was like, I don't really watch the news, to be honest, especially in America. The news just is depressing.
You can't.
So I wasn't really on the ball with it. And I remember my client, Arturo, saying to me, I think this was in February, gyms in New York are closing. You're gonna close down. Like, they're gonna tell you to close down. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're not gonna close us down. It's never gonna happen. And of course, March rolls around and we get shut down. And of course, like I just said, we were finally making money. We'd finally turned a corner financially. We were paying back our debts. And now it was like, oh my God, like this is just, come on. I cannot believe it. And of course, I know it wasn't just us. Everybody was in this boat. My heart goes out to every small business, every gym, everybody went through this. But of course, as always, you have to have the tenacity. You have to have the belief. You have to have the hard work in you and the grind and the spirit to keep the ball rolling. And so immediately we pivoted, we brainstormed, and we went online. We closed down March 15th, March 16th. We went online and we started doing online workouts. I did it from the living room in my bedroom. I did the morning session. Jeff did the afternoon from his house. Emily did a repair session, and we just went from there. And we did it every day. It was very fucking basic in the beginning because we didn't know how the hell to do it. We were not an online business. We're not a virtual business. That was not our business plan. There are companies out there that do this professionally and do it a lot better than us. All we had was like our membership and offering a service to our membership and trying to give them something just to hold on to them and to keep things going. And luckily, we had the best membership in the world, the best members in the world, and they supported us through it. They continued to pay their dues, a lot of them, and we provided the best possible service we could, from our houses, and eventually we did. As always, you're like, how can we offer more? What can we do more? So we did an online challenge, the Limitless Challenge, the virtual challenge. We got all our coaches involved. Our coaches had teams. Every coach had a speciality. So there was like a gymnastic emphasis, or there was a weightlifting emphasis, or there was a running emphasis. There was a CrossFit emphasis. There was all these different projects. There was a push-up program that I put together. There was a repair program. There was a yoga program. All these different programs, all virtual. All still basic. Obviously, like I said, we're not high tech. We didn't have that knowledge at the time. And yeah, luckily it was enough to provide our members with a decent service. And like I said, they stuck with us, and it gave people something to do with their days, because everybody by this stage was in lockdown.
It was weird.
It was weird. It was a fucking weird time. But it gave everybody a sense of purpose, and everybody, like I said, a sense of something to do. And and it worked. So we held on to what we could. It was a really tough time mentally, but we, like I said, when you have something that you believe in and that you've put so much into, and you've poured every penny into, you can't just give it up. So you fight tooth and nail to keep it alive, and that's what we did. And as you guys remember, eventually we were allowed to reopen for a brief time I can't remember what that date was. Can you remember, Brennan? We came out of quarantine the first time. Was it July? I can't even remember.
Sometime midsummer.
Midsummer. We were allowed to reopen.
No, I don't think it's like October, actually. Like later in the year.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Especially because gyms, because they wouldn't let... I know there was a controversy because like gyms, like, although this is something that's going to help people with COVID or prevent COVID, you guys weren't allowed to open. You weren't in the first wave. It was the second wave that you guys were starting to allow
in the first wave, we were allowed to reopen. I think we were only open for a month or so. Maybe 6 weeks, and then we got shut down again. And that's, of course, when the outdoor situation happened. Now, we could... another podcast could happen about the wrongs and rights of whether we should have been forced to shut down or not. But once the second shutdown happened, we knew we had to pivot outdoors, which was the start of Muscle Beach, right? The East Side Muscle Beach.
East Side Muscle Beach.
Now, again, I remember sitting in the office with my management team. It was me, Emily, Elena, and Laura on a conference call. And I was like exhausted by this process. I was like, oh my God, like, what do we do now? It's like, okay, we got to open outside. We'll open in the parking lot. So I took the next day came around. We told everyone what was happening. We have 2 parking lots at Pharos Athletic Club. We took one parking lot away and turned it into an outdoor gym. We took dumbbells out, we took kettlebells out, we took mats out. We used like umbrellas and stuff, and then eventually ordered like gazebos, coverage, carts to cart everything in and out. We had neighbors, so we only opened the Muscle Beach in our car park from like 10 till 6. And then after a while, it was like, this isn't enough. What about our morning members who can't come later in the day? So then we rented out Blue Collar Working Dogs car park in the morning from 6 a.m. till 9 a.m. So the people that came in the morning would go to that car park. We wheel everything out that side. And then at a certain time of day after the 9 a.m. class finished, we wheel everything over to the other side. And then the other side will be open from 10 till 6, 10 till 7. So it was a ton of work. I have the best team in the world. They were incredible.
Andre was pulling a lot.
These boys and girls were like, oh my God, God bless them. Like carting everything one side, carting everything the other. Ton of work, ton of effort, ton of complaints from neighbors. Police coming.
Oh, the oil and gas.
City coming.
Don't forget about that one.
People pouring gasoline over our car parks to try and get us to go away. The building getting broken into. The building getting graffitied, like constant hassle, constant crime. Nobody really helping us from the city. It was a real hard time, and it was one thing after another, and it was blow after blow after blow, and just a really hard time to be a business owner, and one of those situations where you do ask yourself, like, is it worth it? Like, even if we get through this, by that point, we've lost so much revenue, we're in so much debt. Like, is this even escapable? Like, are we just going to be, we never, since opening the gym, me and Emily and Jeff had always paid ourselves the bare minimum. And it felt like, we're never going to be ever going to be able to pay ourselves more than that because, we're going to be in debt for the rest of our lives here. So, it really was, there was a lot of like hard conversations, a lot of like tough, like, do we believe in what we're doing? Like, is there a way forward for us? Like, what do we do here? But luckily, we all, I think at different stages, one of us was always down and the rest of us were always up, and we all helped each other kind of get through it. And as I said before, we had such incredible members, both virtually and in person, that supported us, that encouraged us, that showed up, that let us know how much we were helping them get through life, because this was hard on everybody. This wasn't just us suffering. This was everybody suffering. and everybody needed each other, and we were able to provide a service that brought people together. You know, people were alone a lot of the time, like isolated and quarantined, but they could come to train outside. They could see their friends or their colleagues. They could get a great workout. They would get that mental stimulation, that physical stimulation, that social stimulation that they were desperate for. And it kept people going, and it kept us going. And there was no way we were ever going to turn our back on that. So, you know, we kept things going. We kept things alive. And of course, ultimately and eventually, we were allowed to reopen and come back inside after months and months. I mean, almost a year, basically. Almost a calendar year. I think almost exactly a calendar year of being outdoors and just thinking, surely this is only going to last for another couple of weeks. Surely just a couple more weeks. People in the beginning said, "Are you guys going to be closed for 6 months?" I was like, no fucking way. They would never do that to us. It would be impossible. People would just go bankrupt. It was a year. And a lot of people did go bankrupt. A lot of small businesses closed. A lot of gyms closed. A lot of restaurants closed around us. Super sad. But like I said, we were fortunate enough and I guess wise enough or hardworking enough just to not give up and to keep it going. And eventually we reopened. And, I guess the worry was we've been outside for so long. Would people be comfortable coming back inside? Because, people still had fear and people were still had their concerns and stuff. We'd never had any outbreaks at the gym, either indoor or outdoor. We'd done a ton of protocols. We'd spent a ton of money.
No member passed away at all during the whole COVID stuff, did they?
Oh,
no,
we never had any problems. But
I think you have a healthy staff and healthy
right.
customer base.
As we said from the beginning, the key to the whole thing was keeping healthy immune systems, and we did that. But we spent a ton of money on cleaning protocols. We bought these special UV light cleansers. We bought a ton of different products.
The cleaning guns, right?
All this stuff which costs thousands and thousands of dollars. And a lot of people don't realize, when the city says, "Oh, you have to do this and you have to do that," it's like, yeah, that all costs money, and we're not making any money right now. So all we're doing is increasing our debt, which we cannot pay back because you will not let us open. So it was a real tough time again for that, but it was worth it because none of our members got sick. There was never any outbreaks. Some members had more concerns than others. Just as I've said before, everybody has their own relationship to this thing. Some people are more affected by it, some people less, but everybody has their own relationship, and we all need to be open-minded about that. So when we did reopen, some people were comfortable coming back inside. We did lose some members who weren't comfortable, but we knew that was going to happen. There was just no way around it. But financially, we could no longer support both indoor and outdoor training. We didn't have the financial means. We didn't have the equipment necessary for that kind of operation. So we had to bring everything back inside. Fortunately, the vast majority wanted to come back inside. They were ready to come back inside. Of course, we had to wear masks, which was, again, very difficult, very uncomfortable. Again, we can go back and forth on whether it's right to make people work out in masks because there are risks associated with that. It can be very detrimental to train in a mask. So again, people have different opinions about that, but it was, of course, the law in Los Angeles, so we had to abide by it. And people were, very thoughtful of each other, very caring of each other. Everybody kind of helped each other through, and it was great. It was like people working out inside. We'd all shared in the terrible experience. We'd all shared in the hardship. We'd all suffered. By this point, everybody was kind of exhausted by COVID, and they just wanted to get back to some kind of normalcy, and the gym provided people with that. I think the gym provided congregation, it provided social interaction, it provided, the physical action of working out, and just in general, just a great spirit that people were, people were not getting from anywhere else. So we were grateful and inspired to provide that for people. It was we were getting that feedback. This is the one thing keeping me going. This is the one thing I look forward to in my day, and it really kept us going. So thank you to everyone that did that. So we start back up and we're inside, and of course, gradually, we start increasing classes and we start getting back to some sense of normalcy.
The volume returns.
The volume starts to return. We lost, by this point, we were down 50% in revenue at least, because obviously we couldn't offer half of what we used to offer. Some people had left. A lot of people moved out of Los Angeles. A lot of members just didn't want to come to the gym anymore because they were too afraid, or they just didn't feel, whether it was like a moral thing of like being in a communal space, or whether it was just like genuine fear of being in a communal space,
or they have a family member at risk.
Or they have family members they're concerned about, whatever it was. Everyone had their reasons. So we were down, at least 50% in revenue, but gradually it started to creep back up, and yeah, we kind of like started to find, and are still finding, our way back to where we were at that. Remember I said at the start of 2020 when we were finally being able to like pay the bills and make ends meet. It's funny because I think the perception of Pharos from the outside sometimes is, oh, these guys have a ton of money. Look at all their equipment. Like, look at all the amazing things they have. I'm telling you, like, everything that we have and everything that we do is simply because we believe so much in what we're doing, and we are willing to invest in it for the future. But all it is really is a debt, and a debt that is like relative to the support that we've had from our financial backers and our investor Kate, and the belief in ourselves that we are building something special, and we are willing to invest because we know we have something special. We have a great membership that deserves the kind of equipment that we have, and to charge the kind of prices that we charge, and to keep our community happy. We want to provide the kind of services and kind of equipment that we have. That of course comes with a price, but long term we believe it will be worth it. So sometimes it's hard to express to people when they're saying, well, why can't you do this and why can't you do that? And it's kind of like, well, all these things cost a lot of money. We don't have a ton of money. We're a small family business. We're not a big corporate business. We don't have like huge bank accounts behind us. We're just a small family business trying to make ends meet. And we've made a lot of sacrifices to make it happen. But we've done it in a way that's been gradual, that's been based on, a good solid business plan, that's been based on trust, and thankfully we've had a great deal of financial help from our investor Kate, and we've put everything we earned, we put back into the business, and yeah, we made it happen somehow. So anyway, so we start building back up, get back to the point where we were before, and we are now, we found ourselves at a place where, me and Emily are both very entrepreneurial, and Kate. Jeff, by this point, had decided to kind of go a different route. He's still at the gym. He's still our great friend. He's still doing his clients and so forth. But in terms of running the gym, he's not involved anymore. So, me and Emily were very much like, okay, we know we want to grow. We know we're inspired by growth. We know we're entrepreneurial. We have to do something. We do have to do something more. We can't just like, this can't just be about survival. This has to be about growth. We can see that Pharos is building itself back up to where we want to be. Of course, we are going to continue to invest in and build up Pharos Athletic Club. It's our baby. We love it. But we wanted to do something else as well. We wanted to expand the business. And so that's what we started to work on. And if you tune in next week, we are going to tell you about this exciting new project that we have coming up. But for now, I just want to say that, Pharos Athletic Club, where it is now, it took a ton of hard work. It took a lot of gambles. It took great people. It took great relationships. It took a lot of understanding. It took a lot of trust. And it took a lot of tenacity and just saying to yourself, never say die. there are so many times I know that a lot of people would have said, this is just crazy, just stop, like give it up, like this is not worth it, like you were going to sacrifice 10 years of your life just trying to make ends meet. But for us, it was worth the effort. It was worth every gamble we took. It was worth, you know, our hearts and our souls and our, you know, our hard work and the hours of hard work that it took. And yeah, at no point have I ever regretted opening Pharos Athletic Club, even though at some points it felt hopeless. Now I'm the guy that always says, like, I'm always hopeful. Like I never lose hope completely. I've always been, you know, you can fucking try and destroy me. You can hurt me. You can do whatever, but ultimately I'll find a way to rise up above it. And there've been many times when I know during, you know, the building of Pharos that we've all felt, everyone involved in the building of the club has felt at some point, you know, is this hopeless? You know, is this worth it? And, you know, when you look at the gym now, when you look at everything we've built, when you look at our membership base, when you look at the quality of the gym and the amazing people that are involved in this business, the amazing coaches we have, the amazing team. I've hardly talked about what amazing coaches we have and how many times over the years the right coach has come in at the right time and boosted the business, made it better. You know, it started with just me, Emily, and Jeff coaching. And we're all great coaches, but other coaches have come in that have improved the business and have brought their own energy and their own knowledge and their own hard work ethic. And they've helped support us. They've helped grow our business. You know, in turn, we've provided a great space for them, great jobs for them, a great income for them. And, you know, we would not be here today if not for the coaches that we've had over the years. And they have been phenomenal and helped us like build the community that we now have and that we can be really proud of. So I just want to say thank you to all our both our coaching staff and our front desk office and everyone, and our cleaning staff and everybody involved in the running of the club. You guys are incredible. This has been a really like hard year for us, 2020 going into 2021, but I know in my heart that we are going to do so well in the next couple of years as we rebuild this business and as we look forward to this next adventure, which you'll hear more about in the next podcast. But yeah, that's kind of part 3. So yeah, that kind of sums up where I'm at. You know, like I said, my journey into fitness started with just a gym in my home on the Isle of Wight. Just a very simple, basic gym in my bedroom. And it evolved to what I believe is the best gym in Los Angeles. And it will only keep getting better. And we will keep working hard to make sure that it thrives and then it provides for you guys a fantastic facility. It provides great jobs for all our staff. It provides a great service to the community. And in the years ahead, I think we can all be excited about what's to come. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And if you want to swing by the gym, we're at 1316 Glendale Blvd. We have open gym. We have our limitless membership, which is access to all areas. We have multiple classes happening from boxing to gymnastics to CrossFit to bodybuilding to interval training, everything you could wish for. So do come by and see us. We do have a special offers at the moment. Which you should come and hear about. And yeah, just come and check out the facility. I know you're gonna love it. All right, guys. Until next time, take care and see you soon.